Welcome to the Meria Heller Show, on the net since 2000 and still going strong. If you feel like you're not getting the real news, if you feel like you're not connected spiritually, you have found your home. Meria covers a wide range of topics as only a snarky New Yorker can. Straight up, no chaser. No censorship, no corporate sponsors, thus true freedom of speech. Your subscription gives you unlimited access as a member of the smartest audience on earth. Relax and enjoy the education. Now here's Meria.
Good morning, world. Meria here, alive and kicking. Welcome to the show. Today I have back Bev Conover. She's the editor and the publisher of the Intrepid Report, one of the few real news sites out there, which has actually been online longer than my show. And I'm really happy to have Bev with me. Good morning, Bev.
Good morning, Maria, and I'm glad to be back.
No, you and I usually do a show once a year, but I have to tell you, since our last show, I feel like a year has already passed.
Oh, God, I'm telling you. Where do you begin with this? This is total
I tried to make
insanity.
I know, I tried to make a list, and I just said, I might as well just give up with this list because there's so much to talk about.
Well, I can't believe that. Well, we know what's in Congress, so maybe I can believe it, that they can let this go on.
I
agree.
It's
just totally
I agree.
Insanity.
I know, and the big thing the Democrats are worried about is an anti-Israel boycott bill. This is what they're worrying about?
Well, no, they're after Omar.
Oh, absolutely.
They can't separate Zionism from anti-Semitism. Because you don't like Zionists on what they're doing doesn't mean you're anti-Semite.
Of course not. And I'm so tired of explaining that to people. Zionism is a political movement. Mm-hmm. And Judaism is a religion. I mean, right. I don't understand why people have such a hard time making the difference. But if they want to demonize her, as Alexandria Ocasio said, and she posted some pretty good stuff. What about all these homophobic men, all these men slamming women, all these open racists in office? Why is that the Islamophobes? Why is that not, treated the same way? And that young woman, she's worth $1 million.
Worldwide, the Zionists are trying to get these damn laws in everywhere against the BDS. They don't want the boycotts.
Right. Well,
and,
I'm all for
Britain,
it.
And I think, was it France? Was it passed hate speech laws of it? Claiming that that's anti-Semitism?
Right. Well, I saw a cute meme and I posted it, and it was this chubby Italian guy, and he said, if the I in AIPAC stood for Italians, we'd be finished. So I'm glad.
You saw his tweet, Marco Rubio, on February 24th. I went and published a story along with the pictures he posted on his Twitter feed. He's basically calling for Maduro to be killed like Gaddafi was.
I saw that.
But, I mean, what is going on?
Well, and they get away with it. This is the crazy part. Listen, you've been a journalist your whole life, so I'm going to ask you this question. Have you ever seen anything like the past 2 years?
No. I saw it coming, but no.
I mean, I can't keep up, and I'm pretty damn good at keeping up. And it's like, oh, God, what did he... When I wake up and check the news, the first thing I say is, what did he do while I was sleeping?
When I was in newspaper, I would not join any civic organization. I felt that was not my place to do it. Mm-hmm. I'm the one who's covering you, not... You know what I'm saying.
Right.
I remember one time when Mariziti was running for Congress, I met Helen Miner, who was our former governor's wife, if you remember her, from New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And, when she got there, she says to me, I'm hungry, let's go eat. I would not let her buy me lunch.
Right.
Now, I mean,
well, look
maybe that was weird.
No, I think it's called principles and integrity.
I mean,
but you look at the mainstream media, I don't care what channel. Okay, Fox is the worst. But look at how they've made excuses and covered up and encouraged the madness of Donald Trump.
Oh, it's awful. The only one that's really coming out about him, as far as the corporate media is concerned, is Lawrence O'Donnell. Mm-hmm. He keeps pointing out that this man's not playing with a full deck.
No, he's not. In a full deck, I don't even think he has more than 2 cards.
Well, what he did Saturday, did you see any of that?
Are you talking about CPAC?
Yeah.
I never saw such insanity, was never more embarrassed by a president of the United States, and that man needs to get into some kind of drug rehab. That was all I could think of.
I don't know whether it's drugs or it's just his mind is gone or never been there.
Well,
now he's even threatening the schools he went to if they release his records.
Right.
That's a crime.
Wow.
I mean, what the hell is, excuse my French.
How many more crimes do we need? Now they're saying, the Democrats, we have to take our time. We can't just move for impeachment. We have to do all these investigations.
Well, they won't get impeachment under a Republican Senate. You know that. The Senate won't convict.
Well, and not just that, impeachment takes too long. They need to get him out on the 25th Amendment.
Yeah, but then his sidekick Pence has to be involved in that.
Well, I think Pence always wanted to be the president. Why else would he? Well, let's not forget, though, that Paul Manafort was the one that picked Pence.
And Pence is even worse than Trump. So there we go.
I know.
I don't know.
It's like
I think what's disgusting me is that they are picking on Ocasio-Cortez. They're picking on Bernie Sanders. And the socialism crap. I was shocked yesterday. Ali Veshy on MSNBC finally tried to explain to people about socialism. Mm-hmm. And he's going, there's all kinds of socialism. There's political socialism and there's social socialism. And what these people are talking about is economic socialism. I don't know. We need another word or something because people have been so...
Because people are stupid.
So poisoned about this.
People are stupid. Listen, when I had the huge snowstorm that they said that we haven't had a snow like that where I live in like 40 years. 3 days, there's nothing moving, Bev. I mean, nothing moving. I couldn't even see my driveway. My stairs were non-existent. And on the 3rd day, down comes socialism down the street, and they start shoveling my street. So I did a video of the guy, plowing the street, and I posted it. And I says, here's that socialism in action. What are the people in Alabama thinking today when they have rescue workers coming in? That's socialism. Firefighters, that's socialism.
Right, libraries, roads. You want to pay for every mile you drive on a private road?
Exactly. So, but listen, they count on the fact that Americans are ignorant. They're drugged out to the max. Okay, I don't know if you saw, I just got this story this morning that the FDA just approved ketamine as a drug for depression, a nasal spray.
I saw that and I didn't get a chance to read that article yet.
This is the drug from Russia that everybody's like stripping their clothes down and committing suicide on and going wild in the streets.
Oh, God.
So when I posted that, I said what I've said for 20 years on my show, the FDA, forever drugging America. And when you look at the drugs, you look at the filth, the poison in the food, the water, coal ash in 90% of the water supply, wherever these coal mines are, and they're dumping the ash. And,
not just the coal mines, the gold mines, what do they use, and silver, the stuff, mercury, isn't it, they use to...
Right. So you look at all of this and,
one rolled back the water and air and whatever he can.
Exactly. Putting the worst people in, an ex-coal lobbyist in charge of the EPA. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I don't know if you remember, but when I was a kid, they had two types of Superman comics, okay? That's when comic books were 10 cents each. One was the regular Superman, and the other one was Bizarro World, where they flipped everything, and Superman was, bad, and the world was upside down. When I look at what has happened to this country in the past, especially the past 3 years, believe me, this has been a slow burn, all I think about is Bizarro World.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I have a lot of...
Where do we go from here?
I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that Trump will just resign. I mean, at some point he has to give up, but he's not that type.
I think he's afraid to resign because then...
He'll be arrested.
He will be arrested.
I mean, today Michael Cohen was supposed to go back to prison, but he's in front of the... he was called back in front of the committee. Because of everything that he exposed, even now they're petitioning the insurance broker for Donald Trump because of his inflated values on his buildings, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, what else is it going to take? Listen, I grew up in New York 3 years behind Trump. Everybody in New York knew what a criminal he was. It was common knowledge.
I did too.
Right, it was
but
common knowledge.
But the rest of the country didn't know that, apparently.
Well, how do you think about, and I'm certainly not putting down the horror of the tornadoes that hit Alabama this week. But what about Trump saying, I'm going to send you immediate help and you're going to get Class A treatment to Alabama when he let 3,000 people die in Puerto Rico, when he turns his back on California and their fires?
Well, you know what he said about Puerto Rico? Same thing he said about African countries.
Right, he probably...
You don't want me to use the word, do you?
What? That he called it a shithole?
Assholes.
Right. I mean, it's just disgusting. And, what happened to presidents even when they win? And, they know the other party really didn't vote for them. But they still try to say, I'm a president for everybody. This guy has never said it once. It's very obvious he just kowtows to his base.
Meria, I don't know. They don't know the people don't know the Constitution. And what does it say? Right in the preamble, we, the people, right? To form a more perfect union. And it goes on about providing for the general welfare. Now, what's the general welfare? It's the things we can't do for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well,
Even Lincoln in his Gettysburg Address, government by and for the people shall never perish from earth. What does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything anymore.
We are the government.
Exactly, but not when you look at it. I mean, you have people that fear the government instead of the government fearing the people it's supposed to represent.
Well, the government has become really dreadful with all the junk that's been passed. My God, crime bills, spying on us, the snooping, the surveillance. But who let it happen? We, the people, let it happen.
Well, listen.
Because we bought into the junk.
Well, I'm going to beg off on that for you and for me. We have been warning people of this for at least me for over 20 years. You've probably been doing it longer than I have.
Oh, God.
And, some listen, some don't.
And they would say to me, oh, everything will be all right. It'll be all right. Well, I kept saying it's not going to be all right.
Exactly.
And here we are.
All right, you didn't need to be a psychic to predict this future. Anyway, I wanted to ask you to have some questions written down, then we can freelance all we want. I had to ask you this question. What do you think about the 2020 election and how many people are already throwing their hat in the ring?
I don't know what the Democrats are doing. There's too many of them. The only two that I sort of like are Bernie and Elizabeth Warren.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they would make a dream ticket if he got the nomination, took her for vice president or vice versa.
Well, he did say that he was going to pick a woman to run with him.
I mean, as far as the rest of them, no.
Well,
no, the more I hear of them, no.
Oh, I agree. What about, what's her name, Amy Klobuchar? Oh, we can't give you this, we can't give you that. She's already done, as far as I'm concerned. Then you have Gillibrand, who forced Al Franken out on a whim, okay, who does nothing against the rapist we have in office. So to me, that's a big no. So when I get pitches from these people, I write them and tell them why they're not getting my vote. How many Americans are going to do that?
I have no idea.
You know, and if people are still looking for a cult of personality, we're doomed, Bev. We're doomed.
No, the ones like Cortez, Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC as they're calling her now. Of course, they keep trying to destroy her, too.
Oh, yeah, but you know what? She's a tough girl from the Bronx. And listen, I grew up in Brooklyn with a lot of Puerto Rican girls, okay? Actually, most of my friends in Brooklyn were Puerto Ricans or blacks. And one thing I knew in junior high school, Bev, you never mess around with a Puerto Rican from New York.
Well, the Puerto Ricans I knew, I loved them.
Right, and I mean, this girl is built to last, okay? She's smart as a whip. She's not taking anybody's crap. She's not intimidated, and I love her.
But the way they're going after her, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't try to kill her.
Well, Ilhan is getting death threats. You know, they even graffiti to have her killed. You know, I'm sure maybe you didn't see it. But at that convention they had, the GOP in West Virginia, where they put up poster, the poster of 9/11 with her on it, calling her a terrorist. Mm-hmm. Now, how come they're not concerned about that, the slamming of her because she's a Muslim and a woman, as they are with protecting Israel?
Good question. Good question.
Listen, I send good energy to all these young women, including Rashida, because to me, they're the only hope. Look at the Democrats, how they're kind of wanting to censor them and put them down. All the old Democrats need to go. I mean, I don't know any of them that are worth anything. I mean, there's, a couple that I kind of like. I like Michael Liu from Hawaii. But it seems like the people I like aren't running for president. And I do kind of like Cory Booker, but I know he sometimes votes Republican.
No, Cory Booker, thank you.
What do you think about Joe Biden? I think he's way behind the eight ball.
Definitely no.
I know. Who was it this week when he said that, who did he say it about? Was it about Pence, where he says he's basically a nice guy?
Yeah.
Man, he got reamed on social media for that, and that was it. I was already totally turned off. I was like, that's over.
Joe Biden is in the pocket of the banks, Wall Street, and probably the corporations. Mm. And don't forget, he was chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee when they put Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. But who remembers that? You and I?
Right. Well, Clarence Thomas is starting to get more vocal now, a guy that should never be on the Supreme Court.
Well, no. Neither should the two that Trump picked.
Well, here's a sad statement that I saw this morning, which is why I've been railing against Trump since the campaign. Are the crazy Christian, fake, unfit judges that he's putting in place all around the country. Now they said in 2 years, he's responsible for 1/5 of all these judges.
Oh, yeah, he's still... I got how many more? I can't think of her name right now offhand. The 37-year-old he just put on the court.
Right, I just saw that
she was
morning.
Against the gays and lesbians and trans.
Right, exactly. So then these people getting lifetime appointments. I mean, what do we do to get rid of them? I'm already looking at the aftermath of when Trump is gone one way or the other, dead, arrested, resigned, impeached, whatever.
Exactly.
What do we do to get rid of these dangerous people that he's put in office throughout the country?
But when people vote, as much as you may try to get them to say, hey, whoever gets elected, a governor or a president, is going to have control over who they're going to put on the courts. Here in Florida, our new governor, just put 3 super conservatives on the state Supreme Court.
Oh, God.
Now they control the court. You know what that means?
Yeah, that means heads will roll. But, you look at that. Well, I did see a positive article about Florida today. I don't usually see them. But they said that, Trump is definitely losing Florida. A lot of people in Florida are now saying they would never vote for him again.
That's today. What are they going to say in a year and a half?
Who knows? Maybe Florida won't exist. Maybe his Mar-a-Lago will be a target of one of his lover boys, either Putin or Kim Jong-un.
Oh.
That's the other thing. Besides his ranting and insanity, I've never seen a display of insanity like that CPAC, which, some commentators and even conservative writers said they might as well call it TPAC because it's just a Trump rah-rah group now. When he molested
Didn't he say something about Virginia passing some law that now when a woman has a baby and the doctor delivers it,
all right,
the doctor wraps it up in a blanket and then comes back in to talk to the parents and ask them if they want to keep the child. And if they say no, the doctor takes the child away and has it executed?
Yes, he did. He's nuts. He's nuts. Then he said that mothers are feeding their daughters handfuls of birth control pills.
Right.
I mean, his ignorance is so off the charts. Even what he said about wind power. Oops, honey, the wind's not blowing. I guess we don't have electricity. I mean, how dumb can dumb be? But when he was hugging the flag and mouthing "mama," I mean, have you ever seen this in your life? Could you imagine Kennedy, anybody doing this, even Nixon? We would immediately,
George W.
Right, we would immediately say, this guy's nuts, okay? We need to get him out of there. That's, to me, that was the most defacing you could do to a flag.
Stephen Colbert had fun with that, too.
Oh, well, late
humping the flag.
Late night doesn't even have to write their material anymore.
Oh, God.
And Stephen Colbert does a great job. So does Seth Meyers. I got to give Seth, I'm going to put him at number 1, Stephen at 2. And then I'll throw in Trevor Noah. And then what about the fact that Trump wants Saturday Night Live investigated? The world is on fire, and this guy's worried about Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
If he didn't act like an asshole, they wouldn't have the material to rip him to shreds. Yeah. And then you look at all his conflicts of interest. This morning somebody posted, I saw at least 10 different checks every month that Trump's been in office that he's paid to Michael Cohen. I look at that and I say, how much more does he have to do to prove he's breaking the law every day of his life?
I don't know. Of course, his supporters, you're not breaking the law. He hasn't broken. This is McCarthyism. Folks, you're forgetting. Trump's mentor was Roy Cohn, McCarthy's lawyer.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's just insanity.
I understand. And, I also saw, there's so much, and this is just today's news. I also saw that our deficit is up 77%. What happened to small government? That lie the GOP always rolls out when they're in office, and then they always put us in more debt than we ever saw before, and they expect the next guy to clean it up. 77%.
Yes, and I saw this morning that the trade deficit has soared. So the guy is destroying what's left of us, and the corporate media is doing nothing about it. I guess they can't get over getting the ratings.
Well, they know they're getting the ratings, and that's why they covered his campaign the way they did. You expect it out of Fox News because it's nothing but state propaganda. And then you had the story yesterday that broke that Fox had the Stormy Daniels story before the election, and Murdoch told them not to release it because he wanted Hillary to win. So, you could understand Fox is the same as the National Enquirer.
Say that again, that he wanted Hillary? I saw that he wanted Trump to win.
No, I must have said it backwards. I'm sorry. He did. He wanted Trump to win. He didn't want Hillary to win. So he told them, good work on the story, but we're not printing it, basically.
And Donald Jr.'s come out with another lie that the British spy, Christopher Steele, who produced the dossier, that he's chickened out to testifying. Junior didn't say where he was testifying. He did not chicken out. He wasn't testifying anywhere. He was going to do a video lecture on disinformation at the Reawakening the Spirit of Democracy conference in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. Yes, he canceled it. But, I mean, none of them, they're... Where do we start, Maria?
I don't know. And I mean, the latest is, yesterday they sent out for documentation to 81 people, corporations, companies, et cetera, and, they want the paperwork on the decision for the security clearance for Jared the Zionist Kushner and his wife Ivanka, and the White House is refusing to provide that. And they call it harassment. It's presidential harassment.
Oh, yeah. Have you looked at his Twitter page today?
No, I didn't.
Oh. Well, he's quoting that piece of crap, Jim Jordan. There's no evidence of Trump colluding with Russia. But all kinds showing the Clinton campaign did.
And he's still ragging on Hillary Clinton. Come on.
Oh, yeah. And then he attacked... Tom Steyer, who's been pushing for impeachment.
Yeah, it's like,
right. He called him weirdo Tom Steyer, doesn't have the guts or money to run for president. He's all talk.
Look who's talking. Somebody get this guy a mirror. I mean, even his own biographer said that Trump doesn't want his taxes released because you'll find out that he's broke.
Well, I have been saying that from the get-go, that this guy does not have the money.
Right, but he's bleeding us dry. He's surely spending a lot of our money on himself.
He's trying to fill his pockets every way he can from us.
Well, look at his son-in-law. While he was meeting with the writer of those beautiful love letters to him, his son-in-law was making a deal in Saudi Arabia. I mean, how can Americans be okay with what is happening? I mean, they say it's 30%, 35%, 78% of Republicans love Trump. How can they be okay with this and call themselves an American?
I don't know.
I mean, that's the question of the year, as far as I'm concerned.
I think people have been so damn frustrated, and unfortunately they have no foundation of which to think about something and say this is wrong, so they jump aboard a wagon. I think they really believed that Trump was going to give them all this stuff that he was running his mouth about.
Oh, yeah, he's giving it to us, okay. He's giving
I
it
don't
to
know.
us.
I mean...
Well, I think the only thing that got a little...
The people who voted the most for him are the people who have been hurt the worst.
Exactly, but this is what happens when you have what's now referred to as a cult of personality. First of all, I don't even know anybody could like his personality. I find him repulsive on every level. Detestable isn't even a strong enough word. And yet people are saying, from the My Pillow guy to some people in Congress, that Trump was put in place by God to run America. These people actually believe God picked this guy, this adultering, lying Calif, to be president of the United States. I think about that Simon and Garfunkel song, and the people bowed and waved to the neon god they made. The sound of silence. I mean, that's really, we're living in that. So, for me, people say, why do you get so upset? I say, because I'm an American and I'm a patriot. I'm watching the systematic destruction of everything normal and everything American in this country. And I'm watching as people just sit back, probably like the way the Germans did during World War II.
Well, I've had that feeling for a long time. As I keep saying to myself, it's like watching the rise of Nazi Germany.
Well, many people have written that. Even I think the Center for Anne Frank wrote the same thing. How many more warnings? You get it from Holocaust survivors. You're getting it from so many people. And, when we were kids, I'm sure you said the same thing that I did when we were in school and they were teaching us about the Holocaust. And we said to ourselves, how did they get those people to just willingly walk into their own death? Well, now we know. It's crazy days indeed. Listen, we're going to take a short break, Bev. When we get back, I want to talk to you a little bit about Mr. Acosta, Mr. Epstein, and that Chinese massage parlor deal in Florida. So stay with us. Bev and I will be right back. Hi, Meria here, and I have a message. Due to the pressure of the times we're living in, I'm calling on all students and millennials to get the education they need to fight the fascism taking over our world. I've made a special subscription offer for students and for seniors on a limited budget. For just $9.99 a month, you can subscribe and get that education. Over 500 hours of real education that's necessary to understand the world, the problems, and the solutions. Remember, knowledge is power. Together you can change the world, but to do so, you must be informed of what's really going on and have real facts to support you in your endeavors. It's time for all the grandmothers to take a stand and teach the younger generation what their life could be and how to get there. Help me help you. One person cannot do it alone, and the guidance you seek is right here at www.meria.net, Meria.net. Your generation is the generation we've been waiting for, so let me help you. Thanks for listening. Hi, this is Meria. I don't often get to talk directly to the listeners here on the Gary Knoll Network, but I felt like doing that today. I know a lot of you really enjoy my show, but you might not know that I do 4 shows a week over at my website, Meria.net. So if you're loving the show you get to hear on Sunday, come on over to my site and subscribe, because I've got hundreds of hours of great shows on pretty much every topic in the universe. And that again is Meria.net, Meria.net. And now we can get back to this excellent show. Thanks. Okay, welcome back. And again, I'm speaking with Bev Conover, the editor and the publisher of the Intrepid Report. If I have a live link here, intrepidreport.com, where real news is in play. Okay, one of the very few news sites that I actually respect and use when I'm gathering my news for my news shows. Bev, when I started this show, I never thought that there was enough news for me to fill an hour. So I had to work real hard to look for enough news to fill an hour of talk. Now, there's so much news, I could go at 100 miles an hour, and it's still an hour and a half.
I know.
Anyway, I wanted to get down to that Chinese massage parlor in Florida, where the multi-millionaire, supposed billionaires worth $6.6 billion, went for a $59 hand job. And of course, he's pleading innocent. It kind of reminds me, my mother used to say, rich people are rich because they never spend a dime. And how this plays in with Mr. Acosta in Trump's administration and Jeffrey Epstein, who I've covered for years. Epstein, the convicted pedophile and sexual offender, who was friends with both Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. They all partied together on his orgy island and his plane, his Lolita Express. How about the fact that this story is finally coming out because of the new young Democrats?
Last week, I published a piece, I don't know if you saw it or not, from Wayne Madsen about, the headline was More VIP Heads to Roll in Chinese Massage Parlors thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Wayne goes into some depth about this. So
well, I've always loved his writing.
Maybe listeners will read it.
Right.
And Trump is up to his neck in all of this stuff with Epstein, you know that.
Oh, yeah, of course. And he's got that rape charge against him from Orgy
And
Island.
Alan Dershowitz.
Well, Dershowitz is saying that he doesn't want to testify publicly. These should be private hearings. And the only reason that is because Dershowitz was involved, too. One of the interesting things, Bev, when I first started this show and I was covering the stolen election of 2000, which seems like 100 years ago, I thought, by the way, that would be the biggest story I'd ever cover. Wrong. But at that time, Vince Bugliosi had put out a book on the stolen election, and I had interviewed Vince. And Alan Dershowitz had put out a book on the stolen election, and his publisher had sent it to me. By the time I maybe flipped through the book and got back to the publisher, you know what I heard back from them? Crickets.
What?
Nothing. So Dershowitz just backed out totally. I think at that point he had sold out. And there was no way they weren't even talking about his book anymore. The book just disappeared.
Well, I know Wayne has been on this thing for a long time, and because I have his permission to republish his stuff, I try to be very careful of what I will pick up. Mm-hmm. Some of it is, wow.
Right.
But that article, which I posted on the February 27th, is really, people should read it.
Well, I just breezed through it this morning because I haven't gotten the email blast from you. That's why I asked you before the show if your site was back
Well,
up.
I'm hoping to have the newsletter back this week.
Oh, all right, but I will read the rest of it after the show because I love his work. I know he's hard-hitting for sure, but I hate to say it, the guy's never wrong. It's my thought. He's like right on it.
Very rarely.
Right.
Every now and then, we all have our thing, but very rarely. But still, I try to be very careful about what I publish.
Right. Well, that's understandable. I'm always very careful what I say on my show, too. And I think that's why a lot of these fake conspiracy, supposed, alternative media sites are all being called in now for investigation. Because they only see things one way, even when there is a false flag, a legitimate one. I always say the same thing. Just because it's a false flag doesn't mean people didn't die. But, people don't remember Kent State. They don't remember the attacks, on Detroit. People getting killed by their own government, Waco, the list goes on and on.
People don't remember anything.
Well, back in the day, a couple of years ago, it's now back in the day, they said the average person's attention span was 30 seconds. Now they say it's equal to a goldfish, 7 seconds. Okay.
I don't know.
So, I think a lot of it has to do with the gadgetry that people are so addicted to. Their phones, texting, it's like they have to have constant gratification, something to look at, something blinking at them, something talking to them. And they don't have the time or the patience to even read a book.
I don't know what their problem is. I can't argue about that. What can I say? I do not have a smartphone. I'm trying to avoid getting a smartphone. I guess at some point my flip phone will stop working, but
I don't even have a cell phone. Believe me, it annoys.
Well, I have it just for
so many.
emergency.
It just seems to annoy everybody I know that I still don't have one. And maybe I'll just never have one because it annoys other people so much. But I don't even like answering my own phone in my house. Okay, I'm probably one of the few people that still has a landline.
I have a landline.
And an answering machine. Anyway, I wanted to ask you, what did you think about Trump's summit in Vietnam with Kim Jong-un? Oh.
It was another joke. It was really, and
well, mainstream media is saying the reason it blew up is
Trump
because...
even lied about that Kim wanted all the sanctions lifted.
Right.
Kim denies that.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, from what the North Koreans are saying, Kim had a list of the ones he wanted lifted.
Right.
Not all of them.
Right, and then they said Trump walked out on the meeting, but Kim Jong
Right,
said
now
he walked.
Trump's blaming the Democrats for that, because that was the same day they had Michael Cohen before.
Yeah, but here's the thing that they don't admit to. The hearing for Michael Cohen was scheduled before Trump's trip to Vietnam was scheduled.
Right.
So he used going to Vietnam to be away from the hearings.
Right.
And then he blamed the hearings on his failure because, let's face it, Trump is a chump. That was one of my posts today. Kim Jong-un, I knew in advance he's going to play him like a fiddle like he did the last time. And Obama warned him. And now he's trying to blame everything on Obama still.
Oh, yeah, everything's Obama's fault.
Right.
Everything's
Otto Warmbier is Obama's
First of
fault.
all,
Right.
I would be very happy to see the war ended. And what are the North Koreans doing to us? Nothing. They're not doing a damn thing to us. I can't blame them because they want nukes to protect themselves from us.
And especially with a madman in office.
Exactly. You know, did you see the pieces that the psychiatrists have come out with in the last couple days?
Oh, yeah, from Yale to Harvard. I've reported them on my show.
Right. They say, hey, folks, you better do something because this guy is getting worse by the day. And he is going to do something awful.
Exactly. I don't put anything past him, and he has the nuclear codes, and that's another scary thought. You know, to save his ass, would he blow up the world? I think he's crazy enough to do it.
Yeah, I think he is too.
And even when he was
scary.
Right, and even when he was having his first meeting with Kim Jong-un, why, and I said it beforehand, he had just broken the nuclear pact with Iran. Iran realized they can't ever trust America because you make a deal, then they break it. And I said, Kim Jong-un has seen that. Why would he make any deal or take Trump's word on anything when he's the ultimate flip-flopper? I mean, you remember a couple of months ago, he's pulling all our troops out of Syria, even though the Pentagon didn't even know about it. And now this week, quietly, he says he's leaving the troops in Syria.
I know.
I mean, what's the Pentagon doing? I thought our military was in place to protect the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. You know, he wants to have a coup in Venezuela. We need a coup here.
And what has Venezuela done to us?
Nothing. They have the oil. That's what they've done to us. They have the oil, and we want it.
First of all, the era of oil is just about over.
Mm-hmm.
We would be lucky if we still make it for gasoline to power our cars until we get something electric that really works.
Right.
But they've done nothing to us. We've done to them with the damn sanctions.
Well, you know, I've always said sanctions are an act of war.
Sanctions basically are illegal. Yes, they are an act of war. But I don't know if people put these notions in his head where he comes up with this stuff on his own. But what have these people done to us? Now he wants, what's his name? Not Bolivia, Ecuador. Corrales, he wants him gone.
Right. Well, the whole world wants Trump gone, and I can't believe that no one's done anything about it. Worldwide, I can't believe he still breathes. You know, when you think about, you know, the Kennedy assassination all those years ago, there were so many players involved. It's still, you know, you still can't just pin it on one person. Okay, but, you know, Kennedy didn't piss off the entire world the way this guy does.
Kennedy pissed off the CIA and the military, and they wanted him gone. Well, and as I've said ever since, I think every president who comes into office is quietly told, remember what happened to Kennedy.
Right. But look at Trump. He's ragged on our military. He's cut their budget. He wants to take money from military.
He swelled it too.
Right. He wants to take money from their shitty housing, which already sucks, for his stupid wall that nobody needs. You know, he dishonors every intelligence service, the Department of Justice. Listen, I'm no fan of any of these departments. I could tell you what's right and what's wrong with them. But, I mean, who hasn't he ragged on from the media all the way up? And yet he's still in office. It's an amazing thing to me. I mean, are people that desperate for a bad TV reality star to entertain them at crazy conventions like CPAC?
What can I say?
I don't know. This is like a healing venting session for both of us. When you look at Kim Jong-un this morning, you know, they said while he was meeting with Kim Jong-un, he was setting up a new missile site. And we were hacked. We were cyber attacked. 100 companies in America were cyber attacked from North Korea while that meeting was going on.
Well, they claim, you know, I don't know, I believe that all the Chinese or the Koreans or whatever have hacked us. I still think it's our own damn government.
Well, I think Israel's got their fingers in a lot of pies, too.
Oh, God, yes.
Let's not
well,
leave
Israel's
them
done
out.
a lot of the security stuff.
Well, since the 70s, I try to tell people, they bragged about in the 1970s, they pretty much owned and spied on everything in this country. I think it was Bill Moyer that did a special on that. Way back when, even bragging that they owned most of the media. But here we are, it's the month of March. And, of course, I wake up in the 1st of March.
Israel right now is selling weapons to India. We spend our money
right.
to Israel and weapons, and then they turn around and sell weapons to India.
Right, and India and Pakistan have been going at it for the past 2 weeks, and nobody's talking about that. And they're two nuclear-armed countries. But everything is Trump this, Trump that. It's like he sucks the oxygen out of the entire universe, not just the room. But it is crazy. The babies that are locked up, babies, infants under a year old. I saw a story this morning. They were releasing 12 infants from the Texas detention center. And they found that they were feeding them with dirty water, dirty food, and the kids are sick. Where's Melania's Be Best while she's bullshitting at a school in Oklahoma with these kids all locked up or being sold in a private Catholic charity adoption agency that Betsy DeVos is connected to? Why isn't she visiting those children that her husband put in cages that are getting raped and drugged and beat up?
I
mean, the hypocrisy, the bizarro land is beyond belief. I don't even think science fiction writers could have written anything better than this.
No, if you wrote a novel like that, they'd say, oh, no, that's not believable. No.
Right. Well, George Orwell wrote that novel a long time ago. But, okay, so we're in the month of March, and of course I always think of Beware the Ides of March. And a lot of people, today is the first time I actually saw a post about it. And people said, do you think the Ides of March is going to be the Mueller investigation concluding and being exposed to us?
I don't know what he's going to come up with. Right now, Nadler's committee is working to get their hands on Trump's tax returns.
Right, which they say they'll have in 2 weeks. They're using some old law where you have the right to do that.
Yeah.
I think that more of a problem for Trump, because Mueller's investigation's kind of limited, I think his big problem's with the Southern District of New York under RICO charges.
Well, let's hope.
I am hoping. I'm like, when does this guy get caught? How much more does he need to do? I mean, he's a proven racist. That's the other thing. What did you think about Mark Meadows rolling out that one black girl who, by the way, was the wedding planner for Eric and Ivanka, who's now working at HUD.
After she got some kind of a job in the White House?
Yeah, she got a job in HUD where she's done nothing but make mistakes and she's not qualified for it, but she's still there, pay to play, nepotism, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, yeah. That is token black. See, I'm not a racist.
And she's out on TV defending herself, saying that she's not a token black. I found that the most insulting thing to women and to black people when they rolled her out. And she just stood there anyway. Okay, it wasn't even like she said anything, which made it even worse. So, I mean, the insanity.
The ones that did say something, they got bashed by Meadows, so I mean, there you go.
Yeah, but Meadows is the guy that was pushing,
I was bad. I do my own Christmas cards. I can't find anything I like. And this year, last year, this past Christmas, I did a card that's on the front. It said, all I want for Christmas is an email. And you opened up the card and said, saying that the Trumps are in jail.
Right. That's a good one. That's a very good one. But, I mean, you look at this, and Mark Meadows, he was the one, you talk about a racist, the guy who rolled out the black token. He was the one that said that we needed to send Obama back to Kenya. I mean, He's made plenty of racist remarks. But it
Right.
seems okay when you're a white old man and you say these things, and not for anybody else.
I think what bothered me was Cummings saying that Meadows was his good friend.
Uh,
And I think to myself, why are you saying that? He ain't your friend.
These people are, I don't even know that they're human, any of them. I question that almost every day. You know, you look at their eyes and all I see is a vacancy. But, you know, what do you think about...
You do the same thing I do then.
What?
You look at a person's eyes.
Well, you know, listen, I learned a long time ago, eyes are the windows to the soul. And I can tell you, Bev, these people have no soul. You know, to me, there's two ways of telling whether a body actually has a soul in it or not. Number one, you look at their eyes. Number two, you give them a hug. And it's like hugging nothing. Okay, but Trump's eyes were properly dilated during that CPAC meeting. People have posted pictures of it.
Yeah, I saw close-ups of the pictures they took of him and
Right.
with the sweat pouring down his face.
Right, he had all the
You
symptoms.
really think he's on Adderall?
Yes, I do. He has all the symptoms. You know, they listed all the side effects of Adderall, and he's got them all. I mean, he was
No, I
sweating
saw
like a
that
pig.
list.
He was irrational. He didn't know what the hell he was saying, from whether he was talking about wind to you name it, ranting about
Oh,
Hillary.
he was... I didn't see the whole thing, thank goodness, but I saw enough of it. I'm saying to myself, oh my God.
Unfortunately, I saw a lot of it, Bev. And I find now a good way to start a conversation when I'm at the gym, because, you know, most of the time people are biking on the bikes next to you, and we all have TV screens. I just sit there and I laugh out loud at the news channel. And that always starts a conversation. And when you can talk to people on a sane level, they get it.
Well, people want some fairness. That's what they don't grasp, and they don't grasp who they will get it from.
Well, I don't
And
know.
they're not going to get it from Trump, and they're not going to get it from most of those Democrats that are running.
No, I
And
agree.
this incremental business is nonsense. And with all the corporate media, oh, they got to be more moderate. They got to be centrist. No, we've had enough of that.
Exactly. Well,
Obama
now you
was
see.
a centrist. What did he do?
Yeah, not much. But listen, Obama was a saint compared to what we're dealing with now. And I covered him as I did every president for the past 20 years. But now you see the mainstream media demonizing Bernie Sanders.
Corporate media.
Right, corporate media. You see them demonizing Bernie. You see it on Facebook. You see it on social media. Where, you know, oh, if you're going to vote for Bernie, you know, he's the spoiler. You know, if it wasn't for Bernie. People forget Hillary won. She won the popular vote. But that doesn't mean anything, or Al Gore would have been president.
Uh-huh.
You know, but people just
And
want to
Bernie's
keep...
too old.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, please.
Right. What has he got? A couple of years on Trump? At least Bernie's not senile. You know, and oh, Bernie's a multimillionaire. Prove it. Okay? People will believe anything they see in a tweet. You know, so I see the demonization has begun, which makes it very easy for me to block people. I don't even let them know. I don't even care. I don't respond. They just block them.
Do you
by
follow
what they put.
Stephen King on Twitter?
I don't know that I'm on his...
Well, follow him.
I will.
He comes out with some buttes. You gotta love that guy. Really gotta love him.
Well, I like what he said. You know, even his worst horror movie couldn't compare to this.
And his followers keep saying, you gotta write a book about this. It's really a horror story.
Right, worse than Chucky. Worse than anything you can imagine. Well, Bev, I'd make you this promise. Because our years are now 2 months apart, I will get you back on the show more regularly, because people need to hear...
Yeah, I'll try, Maria.
People need to hear
the
voice of reason, you know, and truth. But I really appreciate you being with me today, Bev.
Oh, I appreciate you having me today, dear.
Always a pleasure, and we'll talk soon, I promise.
Okie doke.
All right, take care, Bev.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bev Conover, publisher, journalist, and before it was the Intrepid Report, it was called the Online Journal for people that have been online as long as I have. So are there solutions? I don't know. It's an interesting day. I feel like we're in the Mickey Mouse Club on a Wednesday, and they used to say Wednesday was an anything can happen day. Anyway, thanks for listening and supporting the show. Support Bev's site too. She's trying to raise some money to pay for some new computers she had to get. It's hard doing what we do without support. And I know it sounds like a broken record, but the few decent people that I put on my show, we're all in the same boat. So whether it's, helping Richard Grove out, whether it's, Chuck Ocelli, this show, let people know we exist because there's more of us than there are of them. Anyway, again, thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow when I'm back with the news.
Thank you for listening and supporting the Meria Show. Tell others what you learned today. Knowledge becomes wisdom only when it's shared. Encourage others to subscribe today. www.meria.net. Often imitated, never duplicated. A world of information all in one place. www.meria.net. Always ahead of the curve. Always on your side. Get active or get radioactive. Subscribe today.